we're going to push and push and push. You will always back up.
Not appropriate.
So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Bistro fraternity guy, you got my ass full of bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to decide to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, we're so impressed. Lots of chicks in a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. Oh, I just can't understand it. Conquer divine by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, Sherlock! I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, Sherlock! Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish Mr. Whitebeard, you're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with a penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. She rolls in a pool of blood and cry. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you like cats and gag. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tom Bone's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The public benefit. Put a body by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. Fuck off, jerk off. I don't wanna hear it. Fuck off, jerk off. Read into the lyrics. So let the parties build quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
Everybody, welcome to the Plex. We usually do this show on Sundays at 7 p.m. Pacific, right here on Twitch. But tonight it's a Monday show because something came up yesterday. You can watch the show live at twitch.tv/EchoPlexMedia. And we're live 5 or 6 nights a week, plus some Tuesday mornings. So if you're listening on the pod, make sure you give the Twitch channel a follow. If you'd like to support this project, you can do so by going to echoplexmedia.com. Click the support link at the top of that website, and I don't know, you can make your own decisions from there. I'm producer Dave. You can find me on Blue Sky at Plex-Dave, and if you're in the right zip code, you can also find me on Grindr, and this is what the people want.
I don't hate the cops. There's a person inside when the truncheon stops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Oh, when the raiders come, who will protect the shops? Donate the cops. They're a sensitive bunch. If you don't stop throwing your rocks, snap, crackle, pop is the sound of a taser. Your body drops. Donate the cops. Donate the cops. Donate the cops. Donate the cops. Like your local police. 'Cause they don't do nothing wrong like your local police. Got rid of the corruption and the racism is gone. They've been keeping the peace, keeping homeless folks out of the parks and malls. Got a cure for your social disease. Follow the law, don't hate the cops. 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 Put your hands above your head and show you're not afraid. I'm the fearless judge that your skin color's gonna get. And if you die before the sun comes up, the paperwork will take forever. Well, it might have worked out a little bit better if you didn't hate the cops. 'Cause they don't do nothing wrong. Donate the cops. You can't blame them for just doing their job. Donate the cops. Well, you gotta wonder, how much would it cost for you to be shot at and stabbed at by maniacs and drunks? Donate the cops. 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 Don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops.
This week there was a group text that was released. I don't know if anybody saw any of it. It was by the young Republicans, one of whom looked to be about my age. Poor fella. He was 27. Anyway, there's some reaction from the media about it. First, we're going to have New York Governor Kathy Hochul. She's got a couple responses to it. Also, this still at the beginning of the video is pretty funny. But here's two clips of her responding to learning about these group texts.
Question? Politico reported on a group chat of a bunch of young Republicans. I'm wondering your thoughts on that, and does this reflect, is it just some bad young apples in this chat, or do you think that there's a toxicity around the entire party?
Some bad apples. These are the future of the Republican Party. This was so vile. It is hard to find the words to put into context that these are people who are part of a political party, one of two major political parties, and they believe in gas chambers and rape and discrimination based on the color of people's skins. These are racist, sexist, disgusting remarks. And I would say this. We have a leader from the Republican Party in this state, the highest ranking individual, who in the backdrop of all this calls our candidate for mayor, one of our candidates for mayor, a jihadist and a terrorist, and then somehow says, oh, what they said, these young Republicans, was wrong. Like, look at what you say yourself. Look at your inflammatory words. And maybe they have an effect on these young people, many of whom you support and have supported you. And you ought to just do a little re-examination of how far this has gone, where this is normalized enough that thousands of texts are uncovered. This is not one person saying they love Hitler. There's a whole lot of people saying things that are so disgusting and so abhorrent that everybody from the president on down should condemn them. And there's got to be consequences. Kick them out of the party. Take away their official roles. Stop using them as campaign advisors. There needs to be consequences. This bullshit has to stop.
Governor, are you going to be holding a public event with
The consequences for this, I'm afraid, are going to be a keynote at CPAC. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the Democrats have this problem where they think that eventually this fever is going to break, right? That they think that if they just point out enough times, essentially, that that there's an element within, there are multiple elements, I suppose, within the Republican Party, or maybe that is the entire element of the Republican Party. They think if they point this out enough times that the cooler heads or whatever within the party are going to fucking prevail. And I mean, that's a fucking pipe dream. That's what's not going to happen. Here's Governor Hochul on MSNBC talking about this.
These are abhorrent to our core, not just as Democrats or Republicans. It should be abhorrent to all Americans. And those two individuals failed the leadership test, failed the character test for properly calling it out. Lee Stefanik saying those who condemn this are hyperventilating. J.D. Vance says we're clutching our pearls. Why are you so dismissive? Why don't you say that's not who we are as a party, and these people do not belong in our party?
Because that's who they are as a party, and those people belong in the Republican Party, and they know it, and they're going to just stand for it, actually. They're going to stand with it.
But no, they just try to act like it's ordinary behavior in the Republican Party. Maybe it is. Maybe that's what's very telling, but it should not be. And that. Oh,
it is, though. Whether or not you think it is. These people, again, they keep acting like like this is some kind of out of the ordinary thing and not something that's been building and building and building for the last fucking, I don't know, entire time. I don't know how long it's been building, but it's been quite some time that this has been building. And, it's not gonna get better anytime soon. Here's a JD Vance telling you that if you didn't like this, that you need to grow up. Facebook website. Oh, here we go. And the Facebook player is hot garbage. Here we go.
By focusing on what kids are saying in a group chat, grow up.
Kids, they're not kids. If they were like 12, I'd be like, well, why are they part of your part? Why are they like officially part? They're not kids. These are young adults. Not even that young. One of them looked 50.
Sorry, focus on the real issues. Don't focus on what kids say in group chats. But there's another angle to this that I just have to be honest about. I mean, I'm like an old guy at this point. I'm 41 years old. I have 3 kids. I grew up in a different world, right? Where not most of the stupid things that I did when I was a teenager and a young adult, they're not on the internet.
Friend, these weren't teenagers. I mean, I was actually shocked to find that one of them was only 27. Like I said, poor guy. No. These are the same people who want to try 14-year-old black kids as adults in courts of law, you know?
Like, I'm going to tell my kids, especially my boys, don't put things on the internet. Like, be careful with what you post. If you put something in a group chat, assume that some scumbag is going to leak it in an effort to try to cause you harm or cause your family harm. But the reality is that kids do stupid things, especially young boys. They tell edgy, offensive jokes. Like, that's what kids do. And I really don't want us to grow up in a country where a kid telling a stupid joke, telling a very offensive, stupid joke, is cause to ruin their lives. And at some point, we're all going to have to say, enough of this BS. We're not going to allow the worst moment in a 21-year-old's group chat to ruin a kid's life for the rest of time. That's just not okay. Like, we live in a digital world. This stuff is now etched in stone online. We're all going to have to say, you know what? No. We're not doing this. We're not canceling kids because they do something stupid in a group chat.
So the 21 was the youngest person in this group chat. And these weren't like just some random people, right? If these were just random people, nobody would have cared if the group chat, I mean, maybe their friends would have been like, oh my God. But these were like members of the Republican Party. These were like young Republicans. They were active on campus. One of them was either is or was with Turning Point USA. These are representatives of your party, and these are adults. Like all of them can go to all of them can go to a bar and get a drink. Like you're an adult. Like, and I just this idea that this stuff is like that. It's like, oh, this is edgy. We're being edgy. No, you're not. You're not being edgy. It's just racist. Edgy used to mean like that you were being kind of cool and kind of pushing limits, but it didn't mean necessarily that you were saying that you liked Hitler and that you needed to bring back the gas chambers. That isn't what edgy used to mean, right? It used to be like those Mountain Dew commercials or something. Now it's I guess edgy just means racist, which kind of sucks. There's like a lot of edgy comedians throughout time. I'm thinking particularly of George Carlin. George Carlin was pretty edgy. He wasn't no racist. He didn't tell no racist jokes. He was possibly the most edgy comedian of the 20th century. He didn't tell no racist jokes. Anyway, you know who couldn't be happier about this? This guy.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, everyone's a groiper now. I don't even know these people. I've never met these people. And I don't know that they identify as groipers. I don't believe they talked about me. If they did, I'm sure it'd be in here. But it just goes to show this is the mood of my generation. This is the mood. This is the.
If these young men were Democrats, he would have called them fat and ugly like 50 times in the first 22 seconds of this video.
Geist of the under 25, under 30 crowd, especially for white men. It's just where they are. These guys were doing a great thing. These guys are, they're not woke, they're based, and they're not what they're supposed to be. They're rising up.
It's fucking virgins.
Up in the party leadership. They're rising up in the government. The mistake that they made is that they were sloppy.
I mean, it is bad OPSEC. They had really bad OPSEC, but no, you just don't, I don't know, don't talk like that. Like, be a better person. But again, little Nicky Fuentes couldn't be happier. They probably were like, oh, Nicky Fuentes is bad optics or whatever. We shouldn't be associated with Nicky Fuentes. It's bad optics. And then, oopsie poopsie. So here is, we found this. This is a man patrolling the Chicago suburbs. Oh, wait a minute. No, the show's live, everybody, in case you can't tell. The hateful rhetoric, it has to stop now, which is a really interesting juxtaposition here, because this is Tom Homan talking about all this all the hateful rhetoric happening. Well, I don't think he means the Young Republicans Club.
But the hateful rhetoric has to stop. I said back in March, if the hateful rhetoric continues, there will be bloodshed. People are going to die, and they have. Unfortunately, one person died trying to attack the Border Patrol facility in Texas, and those officers killed him. Then we got another group showed up at an ICE detention facility, shooting that facility, and they wounded one officer by shooting him in the neck. Then we had the Dallas shooting, the sniper that shot into a shaded van, hoping to hit ICE agents, but hit our detainees. So, and I'm telling you. It's not going to stop. I've seen this play out before. It's not going to stop. There's going to be more bloodshed unless this hateful rhetoric stops.
Well, where have you seen this before? But it's so crazy, just this discussion around like rhetoric and hateful rhetoric. They like don't think of racism as hateful, right? When they think of when they say hateful, they mean like against them specifically, not like bigotry, not fucking, hate against marginalized groups. They don't mean any of that. They literally just mean against them and their friends. And it's like, well, I mean, sure, people hate ICE or whatever. And if you want to condemn that, you go ahead. But if you want to be ideologically consistent, you can't also just be all, well, boys will be boys. When a bunch of ugly fucking dudes say that we need to put people in gas chambers. Like, if you want to be ideologically consistent and just be like, we need to turn the temperature down, well, then you gotta like decide that both are bad. I would think it would be great if the temperature got turned down, but I think it's not my job to do that. And plus, I don't, we have strong views around here, but the tone around here tends to be pretty fucking moderate. I try to maybe appeal to some normies or just anybody, actually. But speaking of hateful rhetoric, this is from the Chicago suburbs. This is insane. Absolutely insane.
Hey, what's your name?
Adolf Hitler.
Adolf Hitler, huh? Why are you doing this?
Mexicans and Jews.
Mexicans and Jews? What about Mexicans and Jews?
Illegal immigrants and Jews.
No, you guys are the illegal immigrants. You need to read a book. You need to be educated before you make assumptions like that and you do some stupid shit. Huh?
You want to see ice?
Sure.
They'll be showing up at your house.
Yeah? Where do I live?
You want to follow me to my house so I can chop you up like the cartel?
Oh, really? Are you sick in the head? Do you got issues? You got issues?
You want me to be sick in the head?
I'm just asking because you seem like you are. Who walks around? Who walks around like this? What's going on? Like, come on, man. Have some respect for humanity.
I don't fear Trump.
Trump is nothing but a fucking evil man. You guys are his puppets.
I don't care.
Yeah, I can tell. People like you have no education, have no direction.
Sorry, are you MS-13?
Do I look like MS-13?
Yeah, with all the tattoos all over your face.
Yeah. The real criminal here is you.
Good.
Good, huh?
Yeah.
So what's your name again? You know God's watching everything, right? And there's a place for people like you.
Sure.
It might not be in this world or this earth.
Bro, make up your judgments.
Make up my judgments?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Make up all the bullshit you want, bro.
I'm not. That's just the real. It's real. It's real life. You need to comprehend.
That's wild. I ain't saying nothing, but like that looks like the kind of, I don't even know, man. Wonder how many times this guy has done this, right? Like legitimately, how many times do you, like, this kind of behavior's got to have some kind of fucking shelf life, right? Like, I know that he's in the burbs, but like this kind of, come on, you can't, there's just no way. There's just no way. I mean, you know, in the burbs, maybe he'll make it like longer and whatnot, but man, like this is, man, this is some kind of fucking boldness that I'm fucking not used to here, honestly. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I would do. If I saw that guy, I don't know. You guys might not see me for a couple days. Like, I fucking God, I got a couple friends who you'd never see again if they saw that guy. Like, oh my God. Okay, well, that's what's going on. I just would, I'd like to, if that person, probably not watching this. If you're watching this though, I would like you to visit zip code 94619. The wonderful town of Oakland. I live like in the foothills too, in kind of a little nicer area, Oakland, comparatively. You should walk around my neighborhood. My fucking God. I see there's an old lady that I see all the time walking around. She would fucking hit you with her purse like until you cried, which would mean once. So everybody, here is we have some footage from war-torn Portland, Oregon. Check this out.
President Trump will end the radical left's reign of terror in Portland once and for all.
You look at Portland and you see fires all over the place. You see fights and, just violence.
Back down to the frog is so great.
This network of Antifa is just as sophisticated as MS-13, as TDA, as ISIS, as Hezbollah, as Hamas, as all of them. They are just as dangerous. They have an agenda to destroy us, just like the other terrorists we've
Homegirl's Raven.
many years.
Fucking love it, man. I fucking love it. There is like the funny stuff is fine until it's not, right? The funny stuff is good. It's good optics and it's effective until Dead Frog. And then we have a whole ass other problem. Then things become, and then maybe it's time to adjust the strategy possibly. But for now, this shit is great. And the Frog Army, they've expanded their territory and they have invaded Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I'm not gonna
Look at them good old boys there with them. Fuck yeah. Look at them fucking good ass good old boys there with them. Very, very nice. Look, a frog, a shark, and a dinosaur who are probably all natural enemies coming together. Very nice. Very fucking nice. Let's see, we're simulcasting to YouTube tonight, so that could come to a rapid end real quick here, because we're going to run a clip of Kermit the Frog entering the discussion. So if you're watching on YouTube, and maybe in a minute you won't be. This is reason being, this is from the Daily Show. I think this is fair use, but it's not for me to decide, I suppose.
Inflatable frogs have become a common sight at anti-ICE demonstrations there.
Who was that? I recognize that voice. Who was that?
And now a response from the leader of the Frog Resistance.
And why do they have to hide? You can spray us with pepper, but we won't surrender. We'll respond with a naked bike ride.
Brilliant.
Our city will stand up to fashion. The T-Rex and me.
That's amazing. So good. So good. That's fucking fantastic. The chicken, the T-Rex, and me. What a great little song. I love Kermit the Frog. So this is Border Czar Tom Homan addressing Indiana lawmakers about law enforcement, I suppose. Or maybe he's just asking for 50 grand. Who knows?
At the Indiana State House today, as President Trump's border czar met with leaders to talk about immigration. Tom Homan touted the Trump administration's immigration policies in an event that was live streamed but closed to the media.
He and Governor Mike Braun pushed lawmakers to support a bill that they say would give Indiana more power to enforce immigration laws. Fox 59 State House reporter Hannah Adamson joins us now live to explain that policy. And
was that remote control on the desk? Is the fucking anchor, is homegirl controlling the cameras? She's a Twitch streamer.
Received by Indiana leaders.
Well, this past session, an extremely similar bill passed out of the Indiana House, but failed to pass out of a Senate committee. Today, the borders are telling Indiana lawmakers to, quote, help President Trump by passing this kind of legislation next year.
Whatever you can do, state of Indiana, to help us make Indiana safer.
Tuesday, border czar Tom Homan joined Indiana Governor Mike Braun and Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita, all three urging lawmakers to support what they call the Fairness Act. If passed, the state could punish employers who knowingly hire undocumented immigrants.
When you stood up here talking about the legislation,
dude, there's already federal law about that.
I was like a kid in a candy store.
Just never enforced because they never enforce it on the capitalist class.
Hopefully that becomes law.
Let's get it over the finish line this time. Hoosiers deserve it.
The border czar later holding a closed-door meeting with sheriff's offices and Republican lawmakers to take questions about state immigration policy. We spoke with State Representative Craig Haggard ahead of that meeting.
We had a porous border, and it's closed now, so I'd love to hear the update on is it permanent, temporary, what we're doing, who's working additionally, just what the current situation is. So I'm excited to hear what Mr. Homan has to say.
This comes as questions remain over whether candidates Camp Atterbury will be used as an ICE detention facility. ICE began detaining undocumented immigrants at the Miami Correctional Facility this month. State Representative Ed Delaney says he's working with the DOC to schedule a visit to Miami.
I asked to visit today and was told that I would have to get clearance from ICE. I do not understand why ICE has any say about whether a state representative whose state is putting up $14-15 million to build up this facility and is using its resources, why I can't go there.
We did ask Tom Homan for comment.
Sir, any comment over whether Camp Atterbury will be used as an ICE detention site?
But he didn't respond to our questions.
Republican leadership will give a preview of their top priorities for the 2026 legislative session in mid-November. Reporting live from the Indiana State House, Hannah Adamson, Fox 59 News.
Yeah, they've been doing this a lot, trying to deny people access. Usually it's federal facilities that they try to deny access to. It's really interesting that, that this is a state facility that this person's being denied access to. Having to ask ICE permission to go into a state facility is definitely strange, but, you know, it kind of is what it is, I suppose. Up next, we just called this clip Lion Ass DHS. Check this out.
Fairly wild video posted on Instagram. We have unconfirmed reports that a Homeland Security vehicle rammed this pickup before taking a person into custody. Oxnard PD telling us that they got a call from DHS claiming that their vehicle had been rammed. They confirmed DHS took someone into custody, but they don't know who. A crowd apparently quickly gathered. Police sent in officers for crowd control. That crowd eventually dispersed.
Dude, that dude just fucking they just rammed somebody with their car. Like, and it's not like a marked police vehicle and shit. That person was probably fucking, they thought somebody was trying to kill him. Well, somebody might have been trying to kill him, but they probably I don't know what would you think was going on if you're just driving your truck down the street and all of a sudden some fucking SUV just fucking smashes in the back of your truck. I don't know what you're going to think about. I'm not sure what you're going to think is going on there. This is Barack Obama on the Mark Maron show. Talking about federal troops being deployed to American cities. Took this popular ass motherfucker long enough to start speaking up about this stuff, by the way.
When you have military that can direct force against their own people, that is inherently corrupting. When you have what looks like a deliberate end run around not just a concept, but a law that's been around for a long time, posse comitatus, that says, you know, you don't use our military on domestic soil unless there is an extraordinary emergency of some sort. That when you see an administration suggest that ordinary street crime is an insurrection or
a terrorist act,
yeah, that is a genuine effort to weaken how we have understood democracy.
Yes, this has been going on the whole time, actually. During the whole first Trump administration, when you were asked, didn't say shit, and it's happening now, and very good of you to go on the Mark Maron show, I suppose. Here's Chris Christie, who doesn't like Trump none at all, and I have a feeling that as Trump goes after his enemies in the Republican Party, I feel like Chris Christie might be on that list. Remember that Bridgegate thing? I have a feeling that Trump might try to go after him on that.
We know why this was done. It was done because Donald Trump told the Justice Department to prosecute Letitia James. And when the professionals there wouldn't do it, he put somebody in who would just follow his instruction, whose previous job was reviewing exhibits at the Smithsonian. So that's what we see going on here. And here's the difference between Trump 2 and Trump 1. And I'll say it more directly than Sarah did. This is no longer, the Department of Justice is no longer the premier prosecuting office in America. What it is now is a capo regime who goes out and executes hits when directed by the Don to do so. That's what it is.
There were rumors about Christie being mobbed up, so maybe he would be one to know. Again, just rumors, just rumors. I don't know for sure that Christie was mobbed up. There were just rumors that he was. Anyway, here's Donald Trump about going after his political enemies. I got 3 clips that they're all, I guess the word fascinating doesn't quite describe it.
What we're doing is nothing. Are you kidding? Nothing. They write stories. Why aren't they doing this? And we'll leave. I don't have to leave it up to them, but I choose to at this moment, at least. But there's never been anybody treated in the history of politics. You know,
never been anybody treated as bad as me in the history of politics. So I'm just going to pour gasoline onto the fire. Here's another clip. This motherfucker, dude. This dude. If this was like Rome or something, this problem would have solved itself already.
Have committed massive political crime. I hope they're looking at Shifty Schiff. I hope they're looking at all these people. And
well, now they are. I guess they're going to go after Adam Schiff now because he's like, go look at them. And then the person's like, all right. But then it turns out they don't know how to fucking do it. They fucking misspelled Jim Comey's name and shit in the indictments. The person they put in charge of this isn't even going to be able to do this. Because anybody, like I kind of agree with Chris Christie. Like, anybody who's a professional isn't going to do this. They're bound by like the bar association and other sorts of professional obligations. So you got to get like hacks, and then they don't know how to fill out paperwork.
To find out, I'm allowed to, I'm in theory the chief law enforcement officer, but I have a very good, talented group. This is about something else, but I hope they're looking at political crime because there's never been so much political crime against a political opponent as what I had to go through.
Or as you mean as to what you're doing right now? That's what you're doing right now? He was convicted of many felonies, and then they were like, well, I'm afraid to put him in jail for being convicted. It's like, well, regular people go to jail. I don't know if that was all fucking politically motivated or whatnot, but I don't know. Some people didn't stand tall when they should have. That's all I'm saying. Here's the last clip about all this. He is on the fucking warpath, but luckily enough, his legal army doesn't know how to lawyer.
President, question given about the FBI director and attorney general here today. Jim Jordan has asked Jack Smith to appear in front of the House Judiciary.
You mean deranged, Jack? He's a deranged individual. Yeah.
He's asked him to.
Well, they should. I'm surprised it takes so long. We're talking about violent crime. What about the crime against a political opponent? That's what we have to talk about too.
Jordan would like to understand the full extent to which the Biden-Harris Justice Department weaponized federal law enforcement. What do you think the committee will find out, Mr. Smith?
I think it was the worst weaponization of a political opponent in the history of the world, let alone this country. And I hope that everybody's, they're involved in it. I'm not. I'm the one that had to suffer through it and ultimately win.
Except you didn't. You didn't. You had so many judgments against you.
What they did was criminal. Deranged Jack Smith, in my opinion, is a criminal. And I noticed his interviewer was, I think that was Weissman. And I hope they're going to look into Weissman too. Weissman's a bad guy. And he had somebody in Lisa, who was his puppet, worked in the office really as the top person. And I think that she should be looked at very strongly. There was tremendous criminal activity having to do. If we don't have fair elections in this country, we're not going to have a country. And I've said it from the beginning, fair elections and borders. And we need also fair press, because if you don't have fair press, it's very tough. And we've got the strongest border of anybody. Nobody has a border. We have a border where the numbers just came out again. You saw 0 people came in illegally.
Well, I don't know. If people are sneaking across the border, you're not going to see all of them. But like when he says fair press, like the free press, if you have a press that's free, it's not always going to be fair. Like to some extent, what we're doing right now is the press, right? And I'm not fair. I'm not trying to see it from fucking both sides. There's a point of view here. But the free press is what we're supposed to have. A fair press is what a fucking dictator wants, right? They want to press this especially fair to them. That's what he means when he says fair. And so up next, we got Mike Johnson talks about cuts to special education staff during the shutdown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We know the president moved forward with mass layoffs. So we are also learning there were significant cuts to staff at the special education services. Are you comfortable with those cuts?
I haven't seen the specifics of that, and I don't know. I do know that each of the cabinet secretaries were asked to assist OMB to determine what the most essential programs are and what the priorities are for the policies and all of that. And I've been so busy on all this, I've not had a chance to dig into the details of each division and how it's happened. I know that HHS, for example, has cut some programs, but they were effectively all agencies in a triage situation. Because remember, Chuck Schumer and the Democrats turned off the funding for all these things that everybody cares about. And so the executive branch, the Office of Management and Budget, has to determine what are the most efficient and effective programs. It's a difficult task. It's not one that they relish. They don't want to do it. Listen to the president's own words and Russ Vought's own words and everybody who's involved. They want the government to be opened. They're begging Chuck Schumer and the Democrats. That's how to make all this stop. They want this to end immediately, and they wanted it to end before it started.
Yeah, but the problem here is that the Democrats are fighting on like a winning side of this, right? They're fighting for provisions in Obamacare that are going to go away. And so, voters don't want their insurance premiums to double, some cases triple, right? Not everybody lives, like I live in Alameda County, California, where there's, first of all, the state of California does a good job on healthcare for the most part, if you're willing to fill out some forms. And then if you live in Alameda or Santa Clara County, I don't know about other counties in the Bay Area, they have a fucking office that help make sure you fill out the forms right, and the county backstops some of the money too. So not everybody has that. So like my insurance, if this all goes through, my insurance isn't going to go up. It's not through the exchanges. But and for those in California, the state backstops some of the funding for the exchanges here. So we're not going to be in that bad of shape. It's the places that voted heavily for Trump that are going to be in bad shape. That's why we're seeing even fucking Marjorie the Gathering has fucking broke ranks on this fucking thing. She said, she's saying basically, oh, I don't think the ACA is perfect, but I can't have my constituents' healthcare doubling. And so that's sort of how that's shaking out. And that's kind of interesting that on this, at least on this issue, that QAnon ass Marjorie Greene has become the moderate. So as we know, during the shutdown, air traffic controllers are not being paid, and there's a lot of sick outs happening. If you're not getting paid and you wake up and maybe you're just a little hungover or whatever, you're like, fuck, I think I have influenza. I have the flu, or I don't know, I have West Nile virus, or whatever they'll be afraid of. Tell them you have Ebola. You're not going to work. So things at the airports are slowing down. A lot of the staff isn't showing up. TSA agents aren't very happy. And things just aren't going great at the airports, as you could imagine, seeing as the government is shut down and the federal government manages a lot of services at the airports. So here's what DHS sent to some airports, or sent to the airports, many of which refused to air this in the airport, if you could imagine that.
Hi, I'm Christine Ohm, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. It is TSA's top priority to make sure that you have the most pleasant and efficient airport experience as possible while we keep you safe. However, Democrats in Congress refuse to fund the federal government, and because of this, many of our operations are impacted, and most of our TSA employees are working without pay. We will continue to do all that we can to avoid delays that will impact your travel, and our hope is that Democrats will soon recognize the importance of opening the government.
Anybody remember the last shutdown? Remember the flight attendants union ended the shutdown by just fucking putting out a statement saying if this shutdown is not ended, none of us are going to work. We're all going on strike in solidarity with basically with the federal employees that work at the airports. And then all of a sudden, because rich people couldn't get around if they didn't fix it, well, it got fixed. And actually the Republicans bent the knee because their rich friends wanted to be able to fly. And it's not just like American Airlines or whatever. If the airport's shut down because the flight attendants aren't there, That means fucking a lot of private planes ain't going nowhere either, because the sort of the effect of a flight attendant strike would mean that other unions associated with the airports don't show up, because you don't cross a picket line. And so, like, none of the food service stuff would be working. The baggage handlers union would fucking would not cross that picket line. The whole thing would come to a screeching halt. And I don't know why something like that hasn't happened this time. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, here's Mike Johnson saying that it's actually the Republicans that care about your health care.
We worked on repealing and replacing Obamacare back in 2017. I still have PTSD from the experience. You remember that John McCain famously did the thumbs down, and effectively by a one-vote margin, the whole effort was defeated. It's a great frustration of mine, and has always been of President Trump's. And we know that American healthcare needs dramatic reform. Let's just state it simply. Obamacare failed the American people. It was promised to be a great success, to make healthcare more affordable. It's done exactly the opposite.
This is incorrect. Talk to anyone who got their healthcare through the exchanges. Just talk to anyone. Anybody. Find someone who went through the exchanges to get their healthcare. There are states where it works better, like California, but talk to anybody who got their healthcare on the exchange. Are they happy with their premium? No. Absolutely not. It's too expensive. Would they rather go shopping for healthcare on the open market? Well, no, actually, no. They would rather deal with the exchanges.
And it has been pointed out by everyone that since Obamacare was created in 2010, premiums, the cost of healthcare, have risen exponentially.
So the other thing, they conflate insurance with healthcare. The cost of health insurance has gone up.
It's skyrocketed to the point where it's no longer affordable for so many Americans. And the access to care has been reduced, and the quality of care in some regions of the country has been reduced.
Which regions are those? Is it these cities that you think are on fire?
Have to reverse all of that, and we have plans to do it. The Republican Party is the party that has the plans to fix it. Can we completely repeal and replace Obamacare? Many of us are skeptical about that now because the roots are so deep.
You have the plan. Well, fucking publish the plan. They don't got shit. Shut the fuck up. You don't have a plan. Get the absolute fuck out of here. You do not have a plan. They've been saying this fucking since the first time they tried to repeal it. Oh, we got a plan to replace it. Oh, where's the plan? The plan, it goes to another school. It exists on a document system that you can't access. I think the plan is like, get sick and die. I think that's the plan to replace it. Again, is the ACA perfect? No. Is it good? To varying degrees, depending on where you live and how much the state that you're in participates in. Here's another clip from that Obama-Marin interview. And the first time I think Obama actually said this is that he initially wanted a single payer program. And then my understanding is that the initial thing, because he knew he wasn't going to get the single payer, didn't have close to the votes, they wanted to include a public option, and that didn't happen either. And here's the first time I think he's actually saying out loud that he wanted a single payer program.
Better's good. Yeah. We're not going to get to perfect. If you're telling me that the Affordable Care Act is going to insure 50 million people, do I think that's better than if we were starting from scratch and I could get a single payer plan instituted and get that through Congress and suddenly we had universal health care and we had taken the profit motive out of, do I think that would probably be a smarter way to do it? Absolutely.
Right.
But since I can't do that, I don't have the votes for that. How about this?
Yeah, we can make it better.
We can make it better. This sense that things aren't worth it unless we get everything we want is either a recipe for disappointment in a democracy, but also maybe in life, or it leads to this weird cynicism where you just withdraw entirely. And that's part of what happened to too many of our folks. We decided, all right, if I'm not going to get everything, that justifies doing nothing.
Oh, that's true. I tend to, he says, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And I tend to agree with that. I just wish the Democrats would fight harder And I don't know, the thing that he didn't do that I wish he would have done is when he started to work on healthcare. He's a president. It's this dumb old thing, but he has the bully pulpit. He could have gone in front of the American people and said, here's what we want to do. You're going to pay 5 or 6% more in taxes, and here's what you're going to get. The average American pays, 17, 18% of their pre-tax income for, health insurance. So you're going to come out ahead, and your neighbor's going to be covered. Like, he could have come out and said that, and I don't know, maybe he could have got people behind him who otherwise wouldn't have been behind him, because you're talking to somebody's pocketbook. But who knows? Who knows? I think people would have just called it communism or whatever, and then been like, it's bad. So here is of all places, Fox News asks U.S. Trade Representative Greer, what happened to 90 trade deals in 90 days? Which is amazing that he got asked this on Fox News. Maybe some of the people at Fox, this might be Cavuto. If this is Cavuto, this makes sense, because Cavuto bucks sometimes.
Back in April, there was this pause, and back then, Peter...
Oh, it's not. Oh, it's Brett Baer. Yeah, Brett Baer will buck sometimes, too. Okay.
White House senior trade counselor said we get the potential here to do 90 trade deals in 90 days. As you look at the graphic, the trade deals that have been finalized, there have really only been 7 official agreements that have been reached. So for the people who look at that and say this is a danger sign looking at 2026, what do you say to them?
Sure. So first of all, the deals we've reached cover a huge percentage of U.S. trade. With Canada and Mexico, a lot of the trade between Canada and Mexico is flowing quite freely. Canada had some retaliation, which they removed. We had Turkey that had retaliation they removed. So there's actually no more retaliation in the world except for China.
Yeah, that's because China's the country that has the wherewithal to fucking do a trade war with the United States and bring the United States economy to its knees. In 6 months, China could fuck the United States over so incredibly badly that the United States would start World War III. Here's Tim Walz, who since the election has been pretty good. I obviously don't share all of his politics stuff, but since the election, he's been pretty good and pretty, this isn't about the 2024 election, but he's been pretty reflective and been pretty good. And I don't know, if he runs in 2028, he might be someone to consider, especially if the alternative is fucking Gavin Newsom. But here's him talking about American soybean farmers and the trade war with China.
Donald Trump's going to throw some money at it. By the way, that money's being paid for by those very farmers because we know that we pay the tariffs. These markets are they're signing contracts with Argentina and Brazil for 10-year contracts. And just the absurdity and it's almost unimaginable that he's got Milley in there giving them $20 billion so that they can undercut us and China can buy their soybeans from them. And now what they've learned is China has learned they can replace our markets and they have more trusted markets in Argentina and Brazil. And to make this worse is the number of acres that Brazil and Argentina have planted have gone up, which have increased input costs for our farmers here. So it is a perfect storm against them. And then couple that with, J.D. Vance sweeping in behind it with his hedge fund buddies buying up land. I haven't seen anything like it since I've been in this. I served on the Ag Committee in Congress for 12 years, having been in farm country in the 1980s. We have got bankruptcy skyrocketing and our crisis lines are just being mobbed. These folks are it's tough out here.
That Milley guy that's that meme president, right? He's the meme president, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody somewhere told Donald Trump that Ivanka was an 11, and he was like, well, here's $20 billion, and you can also have our soybean market. Thank you for being so kind to my daughter. Here we go. Don't worry. China realizes that they've actually overstepped. That's what the trade representative Greer is saying here, that China they realize the error of their ways, and they're gonna fix all this and start buying from us again.
We will just have to see where that goes, right? I mean, it's hard for them to find an off-ramp at this point. I think they have realized that they've overstepped. And like I said, President Xi and President Trump have a good relationship.
You think they've realized they've overstepped? The statement just said, if forced to fight, China will fight to the end.
Right. And if you look at their statement from a morning or two ago that they put out, they were very careful to say, well, we don't want to ban everything. We're trying to do something that makes sense for everyone, and we think it will have a little impact. I mean, first of all, we have to be very clear-eyed about this. I think it's a problem to have the program at all. But you can see by some of that language, they're starting to realize they need to find a different pathway.
No, dude, these people are delusional. China can get soybeans from anywhere. There's China's so big that they don't have a lot of soybean production. They can just ramp that shit up because they're a fucking dictatorship. And all of a sudden, you got land that's appropriate for growing soybeans and you're growing something else. Well, no, you're not anymore. You're growing soybeans or else. It's just, but they're getting it from other fucking countries. Like they're getting it from Argentina and fucking Brazil. And Argentina, the meme president from Argentina is actually showing a little something here, right? He playing both sides. He's getting some of the Chinese soybean market, and then somehow he got Donald Trump to give him $20 billion. That meme president, maybe we underestimated him. I mean, he's not a good person, but he might be a bit of an operator, a bit of a swindler. I'm just telling you, that's pretty impressive. Here's the President of the United States on the, I guess, impending or current trade war with China.
Mr. President, you're meeting with President Xi in a few weeks.
Yeah.
If you can't come to an agreement or a deal at that meeting, are we in for a sustained trade war with China?
Well, you're in one now. Look, we have 100% tariff. If we didn't have tariffs, we would be exposed as being a nothing. We would have no defense.
No, fool. If you didn't do that, what we would be is selling soybeans to China because we probably had the best price. We might have been maybe we had a high quality product. Americans are good at things. American farmers are good at things. Like, no. We didn't have tariffs before. And, they were buying plenty of our soybeans. Here's the. Oh yeah, this dude, this Melee, he has absolutely fucking hoodwinked Donald Trump. Check this out. I swear to you, he like respectfully called Ivanka an 11 because not only now did we give him $20 billion and cede the soybean market to him, now Trump's like, maybe we'll buy beef from these people.
With soybeans and on Argentina, you're looking to do that deal with Argentina, the bail swap. So,
Expecting beef?
Are we expecting a beef deal?
I assume you're talking about beef. Yeah.
No,
to get beef prices down, the only price we have that's high is beef, and we'll get
Wait, what?
down. And one of the things we're thinking about doing is beef from Argentina.
No, but my question is, what do you?
Wait, why? It would be more expensive. It would be more expensive, probably. You got to get it here kind of quick. It goes bad. People like fresh. They don't like frozen. Man, that dude in Argentina, that man is playing the president of the United States. Probably laughing about it was Xi Jinping, right? Like, my God. So here, a reporter of some sort, a woman asked Trump a question during a press conference, and he kind of ignores it and just says that she's a babe or whatever. Check this out.
Let's go. As China deepens its presence in Latin America, what role do you see for the U.S.?
I just like to watch you talk.
Sorry, no? Okay.
Good job.
Okay, thank you.
Good job. Thank you, darling.
Like, I don't know. I just like to watch her ask a question. Good job. Thank you. She probably looks like Ivanka. So here's Mike Johnson. I guess he wants the Epstein files released with some of the names redacted, which I generally agree with, but I think he probably wants to redact more names than I would want to redact. I think that we should redact, like, when it's released, and like the victims, you would redact the victims' names, and cooperating witnesses who you are as confident as you can be had nothing to do with any of the malfeasance, right? But I think when this guy is talking about redacting names, he's also talking about the names of powerful rich people, possibly people who you've never heard of, who you might do a little bit of digging into if their name pops up in all this. That's my guess. I'm not an expert on these things, though.
Everybody involved in that should have the full weight of justice descend upon their head. And we're all for that. We want every single person who had anything to do with that to be exposed. But there's as many as 1,000 victims estimated. That's what the victims said. There may be 1,000 women who were made to suffer these unspeakable harms because of this. Many of them were underage at the time. They have not all chosen to come forward like some of these other brave women have, for obvious reasons. And we have to make sure that when the files are released, their names are redacted so they don't suffer further harm. We have a duty and a responsibility. You can't just wave a wand and just, open the floodgates. You have to make sure that the victims don't suffer additional harms. That's all we've said. Let's make sure it's done the right way.
I am fucking stunned that this stuff has not leaked, if we're being honest here. But like, for real here, like, that's not, he wants like names of friends of theirs, right, to be redacted, I think, too, claiming that they were witnesses or whatever. I have no idea how this hasn't leaked. Like, members of Congress have seen it. People in the administration who probably want this stuff out have seen it. There's only, maybe this stuff has been destroyed, but you can't really destroy stuff that's stored digitally. Who fucking knows? But I don't know. I feel like the people who were victimized by this, if somebody accidentally doesn't redact their name, I don't think they're probably going to be that mad about it, especially if like the people who hurt them see justice. Anyway, here's Press Secretary Leavitt on who the constituency is for the Democratic Party.
Democrat Party's main constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals. That is who the Democrat Party is catering to, not the Trump administration and not the White House and not the Republican Party, who is standing up for law-abiding Americans, not just across the country, but around the world.
That's the constituency. It's all criminals and fucking immigrants and fucking just evil people are interested in the other party, not like normies. There's no normies. Here, in case you're unaware, our government is still bombing boats off the coast of Venezuela, boats that probably aren't headed for the U.S. just because the kind of boat they are and the amount of fucking sea they would have to traverse. It seems unlikely that these kinds of boats, these are the kind of boats that might make it from Cuba to Florida, right? But here's Trump talking about how they're loaded up with drugs, and that's what matters. The thing is, even if they are loaded up with drugs, they're all the way down in Venezuela.
On the ships, though, sir, there are Republicans and Democrats up on the Hill concerned that in the briefings they've gotten about those attacks, they're not necessarily getting information about who was on them and what exactly was on those ships. Can you ensure that?
But they are given information that they were loaded up with drugs, and that's the thing that matters. When they're loaded up with drugs, they're fair game. And every one of those ships they're not ships, they're boats, they're speedboats. They're extremely fast, record-setting type speedboats. They cost a lot.
He said that Venezuelan drug boats are they're in the Guinness Book of World Records.
A lot of money, and they have a lot of money because they're drug sellers. But they know one thing, and they all have the same thing in common. There's drug dust. They call it drug dust. They call it fentanyl dust all over the
drug
boat
dust.
after
drug dust.
Those bombs go off, and you can take.
Hey man, you got any of that drug dust? They call it drug dust. Oh man, so if these are speedboats, as he's saying, that are like, yeah, if these are speedboats, they are not making it they're going to run out of gas, right? And they're not designed to be out in the open sea, right? If that's what they look like. They're not all speedboats, but they're in that style, right? The design of the boat is like those speedboat races. I don't know if they're still on TV or whatever, but those boats ain't fucking traveling the high seas, man. They're just not. Here's Trump on the CIA going into Venezuela, which is like, I don't know, is the CIA in Venezuela? If the CIA says there are, fucking, I don't know, should you believe them? Their job is to lie. So who fucking knows? Anyway, here's why Trump's authorizing the CIA. Like they weren't until just now, actually, there was no CIA operations happening in Venezuela. Get the fuck out of here.
Why did you authorize the CIA to go into Venezuela? And is there more information you can share about these strikes on the alleged
Well, I can't
drug
do
busts in
that,
the
but
Caribbean?
I authorize for two reasons, really. Number one, they have emptied their prisons into the United States of America. They came in through the, they came in through the border. They came in because we had an open border policy.
They come in through the ports. The drugs come in through ports, airports, and seaports.
And as soon as I heard that, I said, a lot of these countries, they're not the only country, but they're the worst abuser. And they've entered they've allowed thousands and thousands of prisoners, mental institution, people from mental institutions, insane asylums, emptied out into the United States. We're bringing them back. But that's a really bad, and they did it at a level that probably not, many countries have done it, but not like Venezuela. They were down and dirty. And the other thing are drugs. We have a lot of drugs coming in from Venezuela.
They're emptying out the asylums and sending them to the United States. That's a new one. That's a new one. I thought it was just the criminals, the worst of the worst. But don't worry. If you're worried about the Venezuela, it might be time for them to get some of that good old American freedom like Afghanistan and Iraq have gotten in our lifetimes. So good for them, I suppose.
What's the next step in this war on cartels, and are you considering options, are you considering strikes on land?
Well, I don't want to tell you exactly, but we are certainly looking at land now because we've got the sea very well under control. We've had a couple of days where there isn't a boat to be found. And that, I view that as a good thing, not a bad thing. But we had tremendous amounts coming in by boats, by very expensive boats. You know, they have a lot of money, very fast, very expensive boats that were.
Those boats are not leaving Venezuela to come to the United States. Like somebody in chat was saying, like if you try to take that boat on the open sea, you're not going to have any fucking teeth left.
Big. And the way you look at it is every boat that we knock out, we save 25,000 American lives. So every time you see a boat and you feel badly, you say, wow, that's rough. It is rough, but if you lose 3 people and save 25,000 people, these are people that are killing our population. Every boat.
The next step in this war.
What the actual fuck? Those boats are not bound for the United States of America. This is this is all so detached from reality, friends. When drugs come in, they don't come in on a speedboat that just like fucking pulls up at Miami or fucking Texas or somewhere. They're coming in through the airports and shipping containers because you can get a lot more drugs in here. And then you personally aren't even there. And everybody can go, I don't know how that got there. Fucking idiot. Jessica Tarlov on the 5 continues to do a fairly good job of dealing with these idiots.
I remember the day the first boat was struck, and Jesse told me, do you want to be on the side of narco-terrorists? And I said, no, not especially. Like, let's see where this goes. And now we're up to multiple boats, and it's not just Venezuelan boats. The Colombians say that one of the boats was theirs, and that 2 Colombian nationals, I think 2 or 3, were murdered when they were struck, and that they weren't drug traffickers. Now, do I know if that's the case or not? I'm not sure, but there is a reason that we're...
Don't let that stop you.
Well, don't let the Constitution...
Wait, that's a dumb fucking thing to say. Don't let that stop you from wondering what's going on here. We don't know if who's on that boat and what they're doing. It seems like the administration isn't letting that stop them from having those boats exploded.
And stop you. And there's supposed to be oversight. As Dana mentioned, there are Republicans and Democrats alike saying, you know, this is turning into more of a habit than just striking one boat, and that we are supposed to have a say in this. And historically speaking, and I know you're going to make fun of me, but that's why I come to work every day. Drug traffickers were considered criminals with due process rights. And this is a conversation we've been having as well about undocumented people in this country who also have due process rights, as Antonin Scalia affirmed. And I don't know if it's a good precedent or road to be going down that he's essentially starting some degree of war without Congress being able to see anything. The intel community, the people who chair these committees are not getting to see what it is that, the basis for the actions that they're taking. And I don't think that you're going to be that comfortable with the idea of them going into Venezuelan land without there being any verification besides, Trump and Pete Hegseth said so.
I think that the other panelists on the 5 are going to be like they're fucking war pigs. Man, they going to war, like starting to bomb Venezuela. These people are all about it. I'm not. Fucking innocent civilians are going to die. People who are victims of the drug trade are going to die, right? Like the people who are victimized by drug traffickers. Well, that's usually because you live nearby them. Right, and they control your communities and whatnot. And so if you start bombing the fucking area, well, you're going to kill a lot of the people that might be on your side, not on the Trump side necessarily, but on the side of people who think maybe the international drug trade as it exists is bad. Right? Like, Jesus Christ. So here, this one's interesting. This is Maria Bartiromo, of all people, is at a press conference with the president, and she's like not interested in his bullshit. Check this out.
Maria, we have one of the great stars of television here, and she's an incredible person, and she's just an amazing woman who she got it all right. She got the Russia hoax right. She got everything. Would you have a question?
Yes, Mr. President. I would ask you why this was so important to you, IVF, and why was autism so important to you? What are you trying to achieve?
Well, autism is like a whole different thing. When you look at it, was 1 in 20,000. Now it's 1 in 12. If you look, Bobby, we have different numbers, but 1 in 12, 1 in 28, 1 in 32. There's a couple of different numbers out there, but it's 1 in a very, very different number than it used to be. It used to be.
So we've been over this like a million times. There's two things. One, detection is better. And secondly, more like, for example, when you would say autism before, that would exclude the horribly named Asperger's syndrome, which was that's now a part of autism spectrum disorder. It's like higher functioning. And so all those people are under autism spectrum disorder, and just, whereas before people would just say, oh, your kid's R-word, right? And now we have better diagnostics for it. So more people are being under that umbrella, and not for nothing, like, it's okay to be autistic, actually. It's just a different way that certain people's brains work. And that's it, actually. There's a variety of ways that people's brains work, and one of them is autism, people with autism. And within that, there's a variety. There's some movement for more specificity under that umbrella, which I think is good, but maybe not right now in the age of American eugenics 2.0 or whatever. Here's Dr. Oz talking about how a third of people just don't have enough babies. They're underbabied.
But many families, as Senator Britt alluded, do not have the ability to have children. But it turns out that it's about 1 in 3 families, a much higher number, that don't have the number of babies they desire. They're underbabied. So, this president committed to address that during the campaign, and he is delivering on that today in a way I don't think anyone thought was possible.
They're underbabied, everybody. I met this couple and I wanted to be friends with them, but they're fucking underbabied. Me and my wife were like, we have 3 kids and they have 1. They're underbabied, and we just can't have anything to do with underbabied couples. So here's a little preview of what we're going to be watching after Down Ballot tomorrow night, Tuesday. We're going to be watching this particular debate. It was Zoran versus Cuomo versus, I guess there was some third person on the stage whose name we'll eventually learn or not. But it didn't go so well for Andrew Cuomo.
Mr. Cuomo, I have never had to resign in disgrace. I have never cut Medicaid. I have never stolen hundreds of millions of dollars from the MTA. I have never hounded the 13 women who credibly accused me of sexual harassment. I have never sued for their gynecological records, and I have never done those things because I am not you, Mr. Cuomo. And furthermore, the name is Mamdani, M-A-M-D-A-N-I. You should learn how to say it because we got to get it right.
Oh my God, I didn't know. For fucking trying to subpoena anyone's medical records for any reason is fucking creepy. But like, people accuse you of sex. I didn't know he did that. Oh my God. I may have known that at one point, but he tried to petition the courts to make his accusers release the records from their pussy doctor. Oh man. Oh God. Maybe we should end the show and go barf right now. Here's an interview that Cuomo did. This probably didn't go so well either if it ended up on in our Discord.
Should the president have gone after Tish James?
Well, my point is, and I think this is nearly uniform, both sides, Democrats and Republicans, believe there's too much politics in the justice system.
Yeah, this is what your statement said yesterday, but should the president have gone after the attorney general? Was he right to do that?
Well, he will say he didn't go after her. The prosecutor will say they were just doing justice, which is what Tish James said about going after President Trump. I'm just pursuing justice. That's why it's political.
But what do you say?
Neither.
Nothing. I don't say anything.
I should be playing politics.
Yeah, your opponent was out there this morning saying that you won't condemn the president in any sort of way because you have the same donors. And in this conversation, it doesn't sound like you think that he was wrong in this situation of going after the attorney general. What do you say to Mr. Mamdani, who came out this morning and said you won't speak out against the president?
We have the same donors. The president was from New York. I am a lifelong New Yorker, right? There are people who know the president, there are people who know me, there are people who contributed to the president, contributed to me.
If you won't condemn the president here, in this situation, how can a New Yorker believe you'll actually stand up to him?
You condemn him for...
This guy's cooked. This guy's so fucking cooked. There ain't nobody on this planet that hates Donald Trump like a fucking New Yorker, right? Like any New Yorker, like my age group or older, they fucking hate Donald Trump. And this guy, like, kind of hitching his wagon to Donald Trump, he is so cooked. This guy is so cooked. Whoever is advising him is doing an incredibly bad job. So, anyway, speaking of billionaires and campaign finance and fundraisers, here's a man you might be familiar with from television has proposed a toast at such an event with billionaires.
I just wanted to make a toast to David Rubenstein for owning 77 fossil fuel companies, a dozen weapons companies. If it blows children up or gives them asthma, he wants to invest. Okay, so just everyone glasses up for David Rubenstein, the worst climate offender, owns weapons. If it blows children up or it gives them asthma, he wants to invest. David Rubenstein, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. No one's toasting? Okay, weird.
I think it is great that there is bipartisan consensus not only on the genocide in Gaza, but what's happening in Alaska right now. The Willow Project is going to ruin the planet, financed by yours truly, David Rubenstein, everybody. Let's give him a hand. He is ruining a livable future for all of us. Your children are not going to be able to grow up because of what you're doing here today.
Governor Westmore, you campaigned on climate justice and being Maryland's first black governor while you are easing climate regulations and data centers are poisoning PG County and black communities. You vetoed the Renew Act. David Rubenstein and Glenn Youngkin, the Carlyle Group is making billions.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Don't let these people have a moment of peace at their fucking little fundraisers. Fuck them. So I just called this one. This clip is called on my docket. My dad's the president. He's going to heaven.
You are launching your book today, and we have the link in the description. I want to tell everyone we have the links in the description. But since that made so much news, and since we've had such a historic 24 hours for your family, the family that brought the world peace, I want to get your reaction to that. President Trump saying he's not sure he's heaven bound.
Well, Ben, it's hard to believe that, I finally think the siege was worth it, if that makes sense, right? Everything they did to us was worth it yesterday when I saw what he did. And make no mistake, he is heaven bound. He's probably too humble in a certain way to say that. I can say that as a son, because I've seen the hand of God on him for a very long time, guiding him through the most unthinkable, dark process. And then we get to a day like yesterday, which is, was so beautiful. But he is heaven bound. And I can tell you, maybe the one thing he does that might have, influenced heaven is, I think there's a lot less people going to heaven, meaning they're going to heaven slower because he stopped the death and destruction around the world. I personally witnessed him stop wars where you would have.
He's slowing the flow of people to heaven.
Had young men primarily, but young men, young women getting killed, getting mortared, getting shelled. I saw it with Cambodia. I saw it with Thailand. I mean, you've seen so many conflicts where, you saw it with India, you saw it with Pakistan. I mean, you saw conflicts there, and every single one of the prime ministers of those countries and the leaders of those countries have come out and said, listen, it would have been very, very different had Trump not gotten involved. In fact, you had the head of I think Pakistan yesterday, I'm sure you saw that, where he said, listen, here are two nuclear superpowers, and it could have been really bad, and it was getting very bad, and all of a sudden, Donald Trump, President Trump put an end to it. And so hopefully he slowed down the journey to heaven for a lot of people, in that they'll spend more time on this earth and they'll get there. But they won't get there for a number of years because he stopped, innocent young kids from absolutely getting run through a meat grinder unnecessarily, for no reason whatsoever.
That's my daddy's the president. He's going to heaven. I don't believe in heaven, but I mean, come on. You got to have some standards, right? Got to have some standards. We got two more clips before we're going into red light, a little bit of a shorter or closer to the aimed goal length of a podcast portion of the show this week. This is real short. I just wanted to show this to you. Like, why would God count every single hair on your head? And what would that have to do with gender? What if God is a gender abolitionist? This is a Christian nationalist named Joshua Hames. I've never seen him before. He's going to say, well, just check out what he's going to say here. Also, shout out to Right Wing Watch. Couldn't do this show without organizations like Right Wing Watch.
The institution of slavery is not inherently evil. I know.
The fuck?
Evil. The institution of slavery is not inherently evil. The institution of slavery is not inherently evil. I know. Some of you guys are upset by that. Some of you guys are saying, I've been saying that for years. Okay, I'll take it a step further. It is not inherently evil to own another human being. I know. Wait, you guys are really upset.
Who the fuck is this?
Let's talk through this, because it is very important that every Christian affirm what I just said. And not only should they affirm it, every Christian in today's society should be able to defend what I just said. Okay? Every Christian should be able to defend it. Big evangelicalism has been getting this wrong for years. Basically, since the Genesis, since the advent of Big Eva, they haven't had a good answer for the slavery issue. All right, Christians in America have been led astray on this topic. They've been led to believe things that the Bible doesn't teach. And when we go beyond...
Well, that's good. That's good that the average Christian in America believes some shit that they didn't learn in the Bible. I think that's good. We call that, those are the church folks, not the religious freaks. Yeah. Not everyone who goes to church believes that every word in the Bible is true and applicable to modern society. Yes.
Bible. There are dire consequences. We must also acknowledge that men like our founders, men like Jonathan Edwards, who owned slaves, could in fact treat their slaves the way the Bible tells them to treat their slaves, and that they weren't living in grave sin, okay? They weren't living in unrepentant grave sin. They weren't orcs, in other words, right? And that's very, very important, because if we look back at our forefathers who engaged in a system that was ubiquitous all across the entire world, and we condemn them, right? C.S. Lewis calls that chronological snobbery, okay?
But C.S. Lewis, a great writer, horrible person.
Condemning them for being a product of their time, all right? But especially given the fact that the Bible does not explicitly condemn that as sinful, then we ought not explicitly condemn our forefathers, condemn Jonathan Edwards as grave, unrepentant.
Also, not for nothing, some of the founding fathers of this country, as they're called, were slavery abolitionists. It was a bit of a sticking point, actually, as the country was being formed. I don't remember who, but there were slave abolitionists, some of whom themselves had slaves, which is a little bit weird. But there was arguments about whether or not to ban slavery at the beginning of this country. So he's just wrong. He's like absolutely wrong here.
That is chronological snobbery at its finest. And if you engage in that, you know, Jesus says, whatever measure you use will be measured to judge you. Okay. And what will your great great grandkids have against you? Right. And it's going to be something. Maybe it's the fact that how little you did to stop the mass murdering of little babies in our time once, you know, abortion is finally abolished, right? I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something. So you need to watch out for the chronological snobbery. All right, watch out.
Yeah, he's holding a pipe. Where's his tumbler of whiskey?
Our forefathers who may have been treating their slaves biblically, and in fact, it was such like 2% of the Americas, right, actually owned slaves. And anyone who actually engaged in real abuse, yeah, we condemn that. We condemn treating other image bearers as subhuman. That's evil. That's bad. That's not good. We can condemn that, okay? But we cannot condemn the entire institution of slavery, like outright. We just cannot do that because the Bible does not do that.
Nick Fuentes' older brother sucks. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Yo. You know, whatever. That's as good a place as any to end the podcast portion of the show. Speaking of that, if you're listening on the podcast portion of the show, make sure you check us out live. It doesn't have to be Sunday. There's other stuff going on here. It's twitch.tv/EchoPlex Media. We're usually off Mondays, but, you know, sometimes schedules get switched around. You want to hear the rest of this show and don't know a way to find it illegal, not even illegally, don't know how to find it without paying for it. You can $5 a month at patreon.com/EchoPlex or at eplex.store, and you'll get it the very next day. I'd say the very next morning, but that would be a lie. You get the very next day, you get it a day before the podcast comes out. Also at eplex.store, there's a bunch of merch, which maybe you could buy some of. And that's the podcast. As always, if you're watching or listening live on the Icecast, which I don't know if people even know, we broadcast this via internet radio, just stick around. I'm going to change the color of the lights. I'm going to change the content of my beverage, and we're going to go into red light, where we have two stories. We have an anonymous message about Barron Trump, which is probably stupid, and then we have we're going to go over a Tim Pool show. He's going to talk about the No Kings protest and how it's all like radical leftists and not like, you know, some leftists, but a lot of normies and insufferable shit libs. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. Or if you do, song's about 4 minutes long. So if you go check in on some other channel, come back in 4 minutes. Bye.
You recall a time that you'll pay when